2. No, part 3. That was brochures. Part 3. Now we've had a look at the brochures. I wanted to get some perspective on what my car has, what it shouldn't have. And it's kind of roughly what I knew anyway, but I thought it'd be nice to show you the brochure. But anyway, part 3, back to the car. Today we are going, the glossy-eyed person of me, because Mr. Hayfever has come calling in August as usual. I am going to drain the engine of oil. So we start from there, drain plug, oil filter off. We leave it to drain in the pan. Then, while that's going on, take the hoses off. That cooling system is being drained as best as we can and flushed through the rad. We are going to take the radiator out because it's that easy to take out. I don't see why not. We'll just undo the transmission cooler connections and just take the hoses off and just give it a back flush. It's going to be literally taken off the car, and we're going to reverse flush it, because a car this age, I would most prefer to do a back flush on it. A flush is probably okay, but I would ideally like to just make sure that everything is good. Thermostat, we'll have a look at the thermostat, but the truth is I won't want to trust it. So we might just do a little bit of a thermostat test later, but ideally it's all going to come out. I cannot believe the coolant capacity of this car. The 1.4, what, 7.6 litres of coolant. What? It's a tiny car. That's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not being funny. Literally, most of my cars, 1.8K series, 1.6 Ford Sigma, 5 litres maximum. Oh my God, this is one inefficient cooling system. Jesus Christ. So yeah, I might need to order 10 litres of coolant, because 5 litres is kind of going to be marginal if there's some old stuff stuck in there. Quite frankly, I want to flush the heater matrix. I want to flush all around there. So it's going to be quite watery and messy. So we have 2 things going on. Transmission might be a different day, because I've only got 1 drain pan. I've left my other drain pan at the garage. So I don't want too much going on. Let's keep it sweet for now. And I need to find some milk bottles to put the old stuff in. Anyway, let's get straight out there. See, central locking. Do this job. Okay. It's a bit less stiff now. It should be. It's a bit funny, this. I have to be very, very careful. You just. There is a bit of stiffness. I'm going to clean that up and sort that out. Firstly, before I move on, for those of you who are into Fiesta Mark IIIs, who may have seen some of my posts recently promoting some of these videos, I'd like to do a shout out because it's something that you would like to watch. If you've never watched me before, Focus Mark 1s are my bread and butter. They're the car that I cut my teeth on. I've also started a Mark 1 preservation group because I feel strongly about the survival rate of that car long term wouldn't be great without a movement to actually preserve decent, not particularly modified examples. The Mark 1 scene seems to be dominated by modified examples. That's absolutely fine, but it doesn't really show the true picture of how good Mark 1s are if they're actually kept near to what they should be. The Mark III Fiesta community, from what I've seen, is a bit of a mix. We've got some very, very nice original examples on the group, and then we've got some modified stuff and stuff in between the two that could go either way. So it's very similar to the Mark I community from what I can imagine. But I hope that you enjoy these videos. This is the way I roll on this channel. I do a lot of car shows, meets, that sort of thing. But the truth is, my strength is working on cars, and this is what I find quite interesting. Some people argue that you can't really experience true car ownership without actually loving and driving them. That's true, that is. But the idea is that I'm tinkering in order to make them usable, not so that I'm just tinkering for the sake of tinkering. I love tinkering, I love fixing cars, and I do it properly. I have no qualifications, I have nothing to my name except experience and know-how of old cars. And picking up tips of people constantly over the last 6, 7, 8 years, to be honest with you. So what I do is purely on my own experience. There's no disclaimer there, but I kind of triumph and challenge other people who are thinking about getting their hands a bit more dirty. You can do it, I can do it, you can do it. A lot of it is common sense, by the way, but know-how as well. And once you start working on cars, in fact, things like the Haynes manual becomes slightly irrelevant. I've got 2 versions of the Ford Fiesta Haynes manual now, and I've referred to both only for really torque settings and just little specifications here and there. I don't need to know really how things come apart. When you take cars apart and put them back together, you kind of see roughly how other cars go apart and come back together, you know what I mean? So anyway, that's what this channel is all about, and I just showcase that for you. Anyway, let's crack on. Right, bonnet open, and that is definitely secure. Right, got everything down here. I've got to get axle stands. Now we've got to put this car on axle stands, and as usual, we're going to select the jacking point. Now, truth is, I'll just take it down here. Right, we've got a good sill here. Now the jacking point is normally around here. Someone's bent this up in the past as usual, but generally the jacking point would be kind of around here. This is where the strength is. I believe it could be as far as here. Some cars it's there, but I think that was by accident. It's usually around here where you've got like a chassis rail that joins it. Now this is where you put your axle stand on the box section. Someone has gone and done some damage to the box section before, by the look of it, but overall, I mean, look at it, come on. I've got to say, Mark III's do not have a front subframe. It was only the Mark IV where they gave it a front subframe. But yeah, this is where you put your axle stand. Now, what I'm going to do is jack on the actual sill, and we can go from there, really. These tyres, I think that one's got air in it, but the other one, I mean, that's a Michelin, you know. These are really good tyres. They're just ancient. It's a shame that, but you don't want to be driving on this sort of stuff. There we go, we've got the axle stand there. I'll tell you something though, look at that. The pinch seam has been crushed, and I've used all my hockey pucks. That's ridiculous. There must be a weakness in this sill for that to happen. Now I'm going to go to the back of the car because the back wheel's up as well. Now I'll tell you where to put the axle stand, right at the back side. There is this, so we've got the cross member that goes all the way, but it's just a bit of scabby rust just there. But you see how clean it is going all the way down. It's just ridiculous. That's literally it. But I just realised one thing actually. I can't, because that's way too far up for me to extend the jack, so that's going to be a bit of a funny one. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to go about this, but I'm literally just going to lower this down now. There you go. I wasn't exactly controlled there, but it's now on the axle stand on the lowest setting. And typically it started raining again, honest to God. Yeah, if you see this, it's just started to bend up a little bit. I'm really annoyed about that. I'll probably hammer it back into place, to be fair. It only take me a little bit of hammering, and I'll get that sill sort of sitting as it should. But there must be a bit of a weakness there that, interestingly. But no, that is officially the jacking point. It can't be further down here because, as I say, someone's bent this as well. So, but I'm happy with that being there. The tyres are on the car, and they will remain on the car. Because at the end of the day, axle stands or not, it's good to have that sort of safety. And now I've got a lot of room underneath, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the back of the car. But then the tyres are going to remain at the back. I might have enough room to actually not use axle stands, but that is the only place you're supposed to put axle stands, right at the back of them those cross beams that run to the back, those chassis rails. They don't run very far. They run actually very close to the end of the sill. So I don't really want to trust axle stands on these sills. I just don't trust sills on a car this age. So as you can see, that's the evidence of that. Anyway, I'm going to repeat the same on the other side just to get it up a little bit more. And yeah, we'll find that. Well, at least I know part works. Good. As some people might say to me, you can get really tall axle stands. I don't have any of them. Personally, I've never had an issue where I can't reach a chassis rail. So I am going to have to think about things. I might get some long ones, you never know. I might just see that. But at the moment, the back end of the car is not being looked at. As you see, there's very little rust. Very little. It's the front of the car we're dealing with anyway. Let's get on. Oh, right, now I've got that side jacked up. By the way, that pinch seam was absolutely fine. Anyway, let's have a look under here. So we've got the bottom of the engine with the downpipe that goes into the first silencer. It's 3 silencers, 1 there and there's 2 at the back. So we've got this sort of they've got the tow bar that sticks out going onto this cross beam that goes underneath a very familiar gearbox to most of this channel, especially my Rover subscribers. Looks absolutely fine with the drain plug that never comes out. I'll just take all the bolts out as usual. We've got the infrastructure. Now this is the side that was replaced, so that is the original CV boot, and I've noticed we've got a new caliper as well as new hoses, new caliper. But on this side we've got what looks like the original caliper. Okay, that's quite interesting. But we've got a new CV boot there, which looks like, yeah, really good actually. Nice. We've got the bottom arm, which is usual, got an inner joint, an inner bush, and the ball joint at the bottom. Very basic. There's just there's like a McPherson strut assembly up there, spring, shock absorber, etc. That leads down into a pinch weld sort of hub design. Yeah, very familiar to anybody with any 80s, 90s Ford, Focus, Fiesta, that sort of thing. Escort especially. But there's literally no anti-roll bar. There's nothing else. There's literally nothing to see apart from a bottom arm. There's no subframe because we've got this cross member that goes all the way to the back here. That's it. Literally, these bottom arms go onto this sort of mini little, I call it a mini subframe, because you've got this plastic, this sort of metal pressing that latches onto the actual chassis rail there, and the same on this side. It's just literally a pressing that goes all the way back. There's no actual cohesion between the two, and the steering rack is mounted against the back of the bulkhead on the engine bay. Not on the subframe, as you would imagine. I suspect that that's what made a lot of improvement to the Mark IV. But as you can see here, this is the sort of corrosion on the front cross member. I mean, what the heck? We've got that under. There's nothing. There's just nothing. It's all going to be tidied up. This could be stone chipped potentially, but it's just hasn't gone through, and I don't see any problem with that. I really don't. I don't see anything that's terminal. Nope, this needs to be cleaned up as well. This cross member is just a bit brazen, but it's going to be cleaned up. Getting the gearbox sump pan off might be an issue actually. I might need, yeah, that might be a bit of a problem actually, getting that off. It depends whether I've got enough room to actually drop it down and manoeuvre it out of the way, but I've got a feeling with the filter there it might be a bit tricky. We'll see how that goes, but I've got a feeling I might need to take a few more things off, especially this and these two bolts that hold this cross member on. That's quite interesting. Right, first job is the sump plug. It's at the back of this very sort of rusty sump pan because it's made of obviously steel. Hopefully it hasn't gone through as usual. And if I bring you to the back, we have the sump plug. There we go. Somewhere up there we've got an oil filter. Yeah, we've got an oil filter there right at the back of the engine. That's going to be nice to film, and we'll take that out straight away. I'm trying to hold the camera steady for you, but I've tried to get my 3/8 on it. The drive shaft is so close to the back of the sump plug. It's a bit tricky. I am going to treat this because they're expensive. New CVH sumps. Oh, that's just gone. That's real. Oh God, that's coming out easily. I was expecting more of a fight from that. Yeah. Okay. There we go. It's starting to drip. As usual, here we go. This is where Andrew gets a bit covered. Ready. Ugh. Not as much of a mess this time. That is black. That is black. Right. Okay. I'm going to leave that to drain in there. Very nice indeed. Yeah. It's a decent sump plug, that is, actually. Just pop that there. But I can't feel any grit. I'll find out when I put my hands in the oil, but oh dearie me. Now, what I forgot to do, this is a top tip, guys, just take that off. There we go. The oil delivery rate will increase, and I would also pull the dipstick. There we go. Just pull it so that seal on the dipstick is not sticking in the tube. It lets air in. Oh, should increase the volume. Right, we just let that drip in. Brilliant. I think it's I think the capacity is like 3.5 litres, something like that, maybe up to 4. Can't remember off by heart, but we'll have a look what's in there in a few moments. Now, oil filter down there. Now look at that. Now, to me, that looks like an original Ford Motorcraft filter. That's what tells me that this oil is not being changed. I mean, that oil is too black for a start. So whoever did the recommissioning, stick that battery on it. No, change the plugs, I believe, and I think they changed the coolant. And I think that's as far as it might go. They did as minimal as possible to get this car working. But they didn't change the oil, which I'm sorry, it's the most important thing. But you know, I suppose everybody's got different ideas. Now the problem is because of where it is on the back side of the engine, I've got to come around the drive shaft because I've got to come from over that side. Going to be a bit difficult to film, but I could just remove this vacuum pipe here. This vacuum pipe goes to the dizzy. Now if I just follow this route back to the car, I think I can just pull that off without breaking anything. God, that's really flexible. I might not want to actually break that off there at the moment, but if I can just sort of move it round, I might have a chance of getting this down. It's quite bulky actually. I've almost got it. Oh, it's given in. Yep, that's just about budged. God, what a faff. Normally, I think I would do this on the other side, guys, but you can just have a little bit of a workaround since it's kind of halfway between the top of the engine and the bottom. It's kind of, you can do it either way. Right. Okay, move that. I've got it really, I've got it moving. Come on, just come in. See, the most difficult bit is actually getting this unstuck. Oh, come on. There we go. Right, that oil filter is ready to be removed. I'm just going to get my hand. The bloody cross beam that goes into the back of the master cylinder. Honestly, because the master cylinder is on this side, the servo's on this side, and the brake pedal's on this side. Honest to God. It's like they designed this car for left-hand drive cars. But it's definitely a Motorcraft. Oh God, this is going to go everywhere over the drive shaft. I'm going to have to move that oil drain pan. That could have resulted in another death just now if it wasn't for that new grommet. Yeah, I'm gonna have to move it slightly over. I'm not really happy with that. So it's still dripping in there, but there could be some mess. But we'll just deal with the consequences anyway. I am the only channel that kind of shows you this sort of stuff, guys, because I just don't like this sort of oh, I'm going to do this, and then they've done it. You know, you want to see me actually do it, and oh God, that's going to go everywhere, you know. Oh, it wasn't too bad actually. No, not much oil's come out of that at all, which kind of suggests on these. Just feed it through. It's not a really good procedure doing this, but yeah, it kind of suggests that the oil actually goes back into the gallery because it's kind of at a 90-degree angle. It also makes it quite difficult to pre-fill this, but I'll try and pre-fill the new one as best as I can. I have a number, EFL10. Okay, I'll keep that on the side, but that's definitely of an age, although saying that, it's not rusty. I know some oil filters, specifically white oil filters, that show a bit of surface rust quite easily, but this hasn't. Just suggests that the car's being garaged quite. There's a bit of scabbiness there, but it's not bad at all. Okay, right. Well, we're going to leave that to continually drip now. We've done that job. I'm pleased with that. Now, the next thing is water. I've got a feeling, before we go to the water, that mounting onto that cross member that goes underneath the gearbox, that's actually the that mounting is what there's no top mounting. This is the thing, there's no top mount for the gearbox. That is actually what mounts the gearbox and the engine together down there. Obviously on this side we've got another mounting on this side, obviously, but that's a bit of a funny one, because what I've got to do is essentially jack up the gearbox, possibly on the flywheel, well, we call it the flywheel housing, where the drive plate is, that don't rattle. Strangely enough, MG Rover people, these drive plates don't rattle. I think it was a time where people stole the drive plates off these Fiesta CTXs and put them on MG Rovers because they all rattle. Beatrix rattles. But I'm going to jack it up probably around that area, because I've got to take the sump off. So jack it up, support it, then I can take the cross frame off and then take the sump off. The cross frame probably looks as if it needs doing. I don't really want to take the cross frame off, but I think I've got to. I don't think there's any way around that, to be honest with you. So that could be a fat pain. But we're going to remove all the radiator fan. We're going to remove a load of things before that. So I think the gearbox fluid will be done on quite a few episodes down the road. The next one really is, before we do anything else, this sodding battery. Yes, get here. No, well, that's kind of helping tighten it and loosen it. I don't like these battery connections. I think they're very dirty. I've really got a thing for battery connections like this. Right, that's come off, and we can just take that away. So presumably that looks like, this looks like an earth for a start, and this one also. Well, they are earths, but they look like indirect earths. So we'll just take that out as well. Now I presume that comes out. I don't know how that actually works, to be honest with you, but yeah, right, we've got this. So presumably this is part of the actual battery. I thought it wasn't. These are actually part of the battery for some reason. I don't know if I've got that wrong, but yeah, it's all disconnected now, so we are kind of safe to just take this off by hand now. I mean, to be honest, this battery's probably got about 8 volts in it. If it's got a dead cell, it's down to 9 volts, 8 volts. It could go down to 0. And I don't think this battery will last too much longer. Now, I've got a reason. Now, I've got a thinking now. If this battery was faulty when I was trying the window regulators, I wonder whether this was the problem. I mean, I'm not sure about this one, but that one coming down but not going back up easily, that's interesting. That, I think, could be a battery voltage issue, because I'm not being funny. If it was 10 volts, if this battery was on 10 volts, it's quite possible that that's the issue. So we take that off. This presumably, this one, this red cable, positive cable, goes all the way down there into that grommet and into the fuse box by my right knee. And this one obviously goes down to the starter motor. Yeah, we can see the end of it there. So just leave that there as well. Lovely. Right, we can take all this away. I will just put these somewhere safe. Let's put them there. Right, next one. Yes, I've got to get an extension, and it looks like a 10mm to take that off. Careful. That feels stiff, so go forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards. I don't trust half these bolts these days. There we go, that's coming out. When you feel that there's no resistance in that bolt loosening, fantastic. If it's too tight, if you feel like this is really difficult to, don't. You're going to snap it. My experience is I've done this and I've snapped some earth bolts recently. Don't. Plus gas. Maybe a hammer, but plus gas is a must. Look, I know there's a few channels that promote Bulldog BDX. Have you seen the price of Bulldog BDX? It doesn't justify the price. That's half the cost, and it's always done me proud. Sorry, I don't believe in a lot of these expensive products. That kind of defeats the object. I know you've got products that can do the job quite simply, really. WD-40 is okay, but plus gas is what you want. There we go. This is not just a working show, it's a consumerism show. I promote a few different products that work. I'm not affiliated with Plus Gas or any other company like GT85. I'm not. I've got no sponsorship deals, nothing like that. I don't like that sort of stuff. All the tools I own are my own tools. They are paid for. It's as simple as that. Well, it might help if I actually take the clamp completely away. That's fine. Okay, I'll give that a bit of a clean up. Just put that there and probably leave the bolt with it. Try and leave the bolts where with their attached items. That's the ideal. And this battery is going to come out. Wow, that's a good battery tray. That's a very good battery tray. We'll give that a bit of an extra clean up because I know how they can go. But this battery is going to go in the corner of shame for now, because that's where it's just rubbish. Just put my screwdriver there. It's really, really good battery tray. And I didn't notice, but they're actually not. They're not bolt on, are they? Are they actually welded? I think it's actually welded to the car. I didn't realise that. Unless I'm very wrong about that. I can't see underneath it properly. Yes, well, we've got the cooling system. Now, because we disconnected the electrics, I can do this. I'm going to take the fan off, so we're just going to disconnect its wiring connector. I think it's just what these push tabs. You just got to push it in and wiggle. It will be stiff at first, but it is coming out. I can see it, so just keep wiggling. There we go. Good. There we go. Right, so we're just going to, again, just move that out of the way as best as possible, really. It's just going to fight you. Now, we've got a single bolt that holds this whole fan shroud on. So, literally, 10mm, which I have here. There we go. Ooh, that was easy. I guess I didn't do that. We've got some rubber that you've got to kind of watch you don't lose all these rubber bits. Take that out. Oh, there's a bit of a rubber there. Just pop that there for a second and we're loose. Now, there is like a rubber. Oh, that's like an insert that goes. It threads into the body there, but this is sort of a spacer. So I'll kind of keep all of that together as one. And I think it should just wiggle up because it's literally just sitting in that cross member there. So if I just wiggle this. There we go. Okay, done. Out. Oh, get away. Bloody king lead. Whoa. You see where it sits in? There and there at the bottom. That's where you just slide it up. That will be cleaned as usual. And there you go. This is where they sit in. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing down. It's just scabs. Absolute scabs. This is all going to be cleaned up, and now we've got access to the rad. Ah, it's easy enough. Fantastic. Right, let me just move this over to the side for the the amount of items that are going to be cleaned. That, for me, I want to do more to that. I think I've got some paint that might make that look really presentable, because at the moment it doesn't. And the rest of the car is cleaning up nicely. We'll see how it looks. We'll see how it comes up together, because I just want to be conscious of time. I can always sort that out at a later date, because it's so easy to take off. That's the idea. Now we can see a little bit more down here. What I noticed, Rover people, I didn't check this before, but the gearbox dipstick tube is not at the back over there in a stupid position. It's at the front, and it's a very short one, and it is a plastic dipstick that doesn't disintegrate. And I'll tell you something, the fluid on this, it doesn't look it, but it was actually quite pink, which is remarkable. 50,000 miles, and I can almost guarantee that's on its original fluid, because I don't think it was specified as a service procedure. The only time you're supposed to change the fluid on these is if a replacement gearbox was sourced. So under warranty or failure of a gearbox, they'd put a new gearbox in and put new fluid in. Now I'm gathering that this is the original gearbox of the car. I'll find out that for absolute definite by looking at the date tag. It's somewhere on this gearbox. I'll find one and I'll look at the date stamp. I've got the details of, it's just basically month and year, that sort of thing. And it uses letters. So I'll find out for definite for those people who are thinking, oh, it's not the original, it's been replaced. We'll see about that. Because it looks all very original to me. And this is where it's all mounted to this cross frame that goes under the gearbox. It's just rubber mounted. I mean, that rubber looks old, but it's probably pretty good, to be honest. So yeah, the whole thing is mounted off that, so I've got to figure out how to jack it up further down the line, but we'll cross over to that. And do you know something, this starter motor is very accessible. It's going to be even more accessible once I've removed the radiator, but you know, I'm going to remove that just in case it gets lost. I will know where all this stuff goes, because I've actually took photographs, and these videos are a great reference point. I've used my videos in the past for this. Anyway, let's take this cap off. A very familiar cap to anybody with a 90s Ford. Yeah. And as long as these caps hold pressure, it's all good. Again, I'll just pop that in there. Now, that is just to allow gravity into the system. Now, this radiator does have a drain plug down there. So I could take that drain plug out, or I could just take one of the rad hoses out. It doesn't really matter because I'm taking the radiator out. So I'll just, what is this? Is this plug? We've got a wire that goes to this thermostatic. This is the fan switch. This is the temperature switch, okay, for your gauge, and the fan switch is just there, which is why we've got this wire hanging around over here. Okay, I'll bear that in mind. Now the radiator, I think, is mounted in exactly the same way on rubber bungs, and you've just got one bolt there and one bolt there. How easy is this? This is what I love about old cars. Just a couple of bolts. That's it. You know, Focus Mark 1s, you have to take the bloody cross member out the bottom and drop it out the top, drop it out the bottom. Fiesta? Nah, it comes out the top. Honest to God, I love this. Now, to be honest, I haven't got another drain container. I know what people are going to say, oh, it's bad for the environment. I've got to say, IAT is not bad for the environment as you might think. And it's certainly not as poisonous to cats as OAT fluid, I can tell you that. These Jubilee clips really need a budging. Okay, I think that one is died a death. A lot of these have got Ford stamped on these clamps. So maybe I am going to go down the route of taking this drain plug out. Now, it's usually a plastic one. Yeah, it's here. Let's see if I can just turn it. I can do this. Come on. Yeah, they can be very stiff. The manual says use a coin for doing this. I can understand that, because they are a bit of a pain. Just keep doing it. You can just get your screwdriver and go in like that, and then turn it that way, but it's a bit of a pain to do so. Let me find something more appropriate.
Okay, right, that's properly stuck down there, and I can't really get anything because the gearbox coolant pipes are kind of here in the way, so I'm not going to bother with them at the moment. I'm literally just going to go to the bottom hose. Now, I believe the coolant flow is, well, you've got your thermostat here, you've got a heater hose that goes sort of all the way down into here, okay, from the heater. You've got the thermostat there, top hose, it goes that way, down. This is the feed from the bottle, the expansion tank. That's the feed into the radiator. That is a sort of two-way into, basically, that goes into the water pump. And then this one branches off and goes into the inlet manifold at the back. And then another thing, and then another part of it goes into the heater. So, that's the hose situation. I think I can understand why this car's got so much coolant, honestly. But I'm just going to let it go. Look, it's just water, and I'm going to hose it away before any of the animals get to it. Just so you know, guys, just some things can't be helped. I'm dropping so much at the same time. But this Jubilee clip feels quite reluctant, reluctant, I should say, obliging. Right, there's no real way of doing this. You've just got to, oh, that's coming out. Yeah, that's properly coming out. Okay, ready for the stream, guys. That is not tight at all. Oh, right over the alternator. It's green as well. Why is it green? Why is that green? This shouldn't be green, that should be blue. Well, my alternator's been absolutely... I should have covered that. I didn't anticipate it was going to be such a flow. Sometimes they come out without an issue. But, oh my goodness me, that is a lot. I love getting into a mess on this channel. That's not how to do it, guys. You do try and take that off. But... that's the way you used to do it on old cars. Old cars didn't used to have drain bungs on the rad. Although, actually, some did. They were brass and they used to snap. I think my alternator might dry out. We'll see. But that alternator's coming off anyway. Oh, my God. That has emptied itself a lot. And now, you can try and take this off. I've got a feeling the threads might have... I've got a feeling the green stuff is actually genuine sort of Ford stuff, but what was in the bottle was blue, which indicates the system wasn't completely flushed the last time it was done. Now, when you're faced with one of these, and you can see it's just starting to go, it's really rusty. This is 7mm spanner, 7mm socket. Get it on, and if you have to bash it on, and there you go, that's moving. Done. And the threads have completely given up. That's what you do. If a flathead is not enough, then just loosen it this way. Oh, thank God for that. Okay, there we go, that's nice and loose. And then this one, look at that. That was suspiciously not tight. You see all this powder? That is old antifreeze. This is not good. It has been leaking from this bit, so it wasn't done very well. But this hose looks in good condition. I can't see any cracks. So, again, just... God, that's been compressed quite a bit. This is where hoses tend to go because they're being compressed so much. Let's see if I can just wiggle that. Another fight. Just give it a twist, because remember, this is plastic. This is plastic, so you want to just keep giving it a twist, and then yeah. Now I think it's because it's quite tight on this side. So what I'll do, I'll try and break this. If you have to, get a screwdriver or a pick. Just get in and just break that seam up, because you're just making it easier for yourself. God. There's been a lot of, that is not very good. I don't like this at all. There you go. Got to fit water in this. Come on. Gosh, that's bad. That is bad. Now, I don't know whether this... That is evidence that I definitely think back flushing this radiator and flushing that heater matrix is... It's definitely required. Yeah, as I say, we're going to get the whole this whole assembly off because we need to get the thermostat out. But first, I just need to wiggle this rest of this hose off. There we go. That's giving me leverage. It's better you wiggle from that end because that won't snap, and this might snap. If you plastic tanks and all that. So I'll pop that hose over there. That's a good hose, that is. I mean, the clamps are a bit rusty, but anyway, great. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my plus gas out again, and I'm going to just put some penetrating fluid on the connections to the gearbox pipes, because this is what's unique about this radiator. There's a cooling pipe that runs between these two in this side tank, and that's why a radiator like this, I mean, it doesn't look bad from the front either, it just looks dirty. Now the next one is, oh, this one, the feeder. Now again, you know, I'm just going to continue trying to get this off. Come on, just go on. Might give it some persuasion. There we go. Oh, that was a crack. Sometimes the threads can go on these. Look at this, it's got the Ford logo on it. Okay. Put my socket there. Again, just be very, very careful. No, that doesn't feel particularly pleasant, that doesn't. So again, I'd rather just be safe than sorry. Again, there's powder coming out. It's quite interesting, but just keep jabbing away and you should be able to just release it. There we go. Just slipped, but I think there we go. You don't want anything like that breaking off, because that's the end of the radiator, and that's me looking for unique radiator. That is not ideal. Right, we're all off. Definitely off. Woo. Okay. Good. Now, all I need to do is get a flare spanner. You must on these union connections use a flare spanner. Now, there will be some automatic transmission fluid loss here. I'm going to have to be prepared for that. So just get my flare spanner. Right, using a 13mm, because that's the size. Get a good leverage. Now, this has been soaked in plus gas, so. Oh, that's tight. Careful. You don't wreck the thread. Oh, flip it, neck. There we're done. Good. That's free. It's nice and free. The pipe's wiggling with it, but good. Right, next one. Squeaky bomb time. Oh. Done. That is nice and free now. Woohoo! We're in good. We're good. We're good. You could get a 13mm spanner now to do the rest, but I'm just going to continue doing it this way. So just, and I've got a rag just to catch all this. Oh, that comes out by hand. Okay, now it's going to be some transmission fluid, just a little bit. Okay, there we go. It leaked. It's brown. It looks brown, but 49,000 miles. That does not look bad. This fluid. I'm just going to let it drain out the bottom one first. Dearly, I could just move that. Whoops-a-daisy. My rag's just disappeared. I think I'll just rather catch it. I haven't got a bloody container for that, so I'll just let it drip that way. Yeah, don't worry about that. And I'll just undo the top one. Oh god, that's gone stiff again for some reason. It does sometimes happen when you catch it on the threads. Problem is that union might start turning with this pipe. Ah, there we go. Sometimes the union may want to turn with the pipe because it's just seized together over, you know, it's possible the first time it's been released since production. 34 years, and it's possible it's never been apart in this way. And yeah, the fluid's not brilliant, I have to say. It doesn't look particularly great, but it smells okay. But it just goes to show, yeah, gearbox oil change is definitely needed. And it is Ford 166H automatic transmission fluid, somewhat otherwise known as power steering fluid as well. You can use that as power steering fluid. There we go, done. Right, these pipes, just move them out the way. And that one. Now, I've got to remember here, for the reference that I might use this before, so the right hand side, which might be the flow, no, the right hand side is the return, goes in the bottom. The to the radiator is the top one. Andrew, if you're watching this, that's the correct way they go. Don't get them confused, although it's very simple to get them confused, but actually with the way they are actually situated, it isn't. So I'm just going to hook all this wiring in as well, but right, that's all good now. We've done that, and just God, let that drip a little bit. I've gone through about 6 pairs of gloves today. And in the same fashion now, we are all disconnected, so might help if I turn it the right way. Remember, we've got again some rubber bungs. Make sure you don't lose any of this rubber. What a delightful car this is, and we've got better access now. We've got far better access to get to everything, and well, I'm not going to rush. As I say, this car may not be ready for the 23rd of October. If I think it's not going to be, then it won't go, because I want to make sure that I've got it to a good stage where I feel happy with it. You know, some people just rush it and just leave it as it is, but particularly as I would still be getting confident of driving this car, or very near enough, it's one of those things. So it is how it is how it is. That's tight, that is. Right, so the rubber bungs are actually stuck solid against the actual frame of the thing. Just put that down there. This might be... no. We haven't quite got there yet. Oh. Seems to not want to come out fully. Come on. You know when you think it's loose and it doesn't quite think, no, I'm not ready to come by hand yet. See what I mean? Oh, here we are. There we go. Now we're loose. Now it's just a question of being very careful and hooking it out. Whoa. I'm just going to put it on this because I know that it's going to be protected. There you go. There you go. One radiator out. You can see the slits where it kind of sits into the cross frame, but honestly, there's nothing. It's all going to be cleaned up really nicely down there. I'm definitely going to do some degreasing. I may do it on camera or off camera. To be honest, I want to do it off camera because there's an awful lot of cleaning. This, I've just released this as well. Come on. We've got more of the gungy stuff, which I'm going to have to clean out. Corrosion. Yeah, this goes all the way to the back side in one piece, so I might be able to take it off there. So if I undo that connection there, we're fine, but I need this attached just for now so I can actually flush it through the system. The next one really is this fan switch. We've got to try and get this off. It might be a case of just getting a screwdriver in. No, it's one of these butt connectors, so I might have to just prise this up a little bit. See this piece here that sticks in? You gotta prise it up and then pull it back gently. Very gentle. There we go. We've got it off its tang, and just pull it up, because this could break very easily, so be very, very careful. There you go. Slide it just a little bit. Try again. Just bring it up a little bit. There we go. Done. Lovely jubbly. Now I believe there is, I've got to find out, I think I've got to bridge this. When we do all the tuning, it tells you to actually have the fan running permanently, so I've got to bridge this connector to get the fan running permanently to do the carb tuning. But that is the switch inside there. Anyway, we're just gonna I'm just gonna take this one off, just bring you around here, and again, it seems rather reluctant to actually go, so excuse me. And by the way, this is the expansion that goes into the top of the tank. It runs all the way here to the top of the thermostat housing, so you've got all your expansion gases in the right place. I do love Jubilee clips. They're just high quality ones. They're just the best, aren't they? I'll just bring that back, and it's a bit stiff. Oh, come on. Oh, there we go. Done. I'll just leave that out of the way. And the coil pack wiring is attached to that, so I'll just move that over there. Now, as far as I'm concerned, we've got to take that out as well at the bottom. We have, oh, we've got another one. There we go. That is the from the heater hose to the thermostat housing, so we've got to take that out as well. The reason I go into so much detail is to help myself more than anything else, but I'm sure you guys appreciate me showing you just how it's all done. There we go, that's quite loose. Now I think we could try and get it, there we go, we got it over. Now I've heard something drop there. I'm a bit concerned something's dropped on the floor. Oh, it's all right. It's just a Jubilee clip. I do worry when I hear things like that randomly go on the floor. Things, what have I broken now? This is quite hard. Oh, my God, this is hard. Oh, there we go. Bit more water. Just let it drip. There we go. I think the thermostat was keeping all of that in. Okay, so we've just got all this wiring that I'm just gonna move somewhere over there. Yeah, okay. Seems a bit cloggy. Now, thermostat housing is held on by 3 10mm bolts. There's one there. There's one where my finger is on this side, and there's one at the bottom there. Take them 3 out, and we'll get the thermostat housing out. Now, I don't know about you, you've got to be very careful. Do not press that red button on the kickdown cable. That will, well, put it this way, without my manual, and even I don't know how to do it at this stage, I'd rather not be trying to adjust the main cable that controls the gearbox. This bolt here, by the way, had to use a little extension. This bolt was not tight at all. I'm a bit concerned. Has someone been in here recently? It doesn't look like it, I've got to be honest, but if I was recommissioning a car after standing still 15 years, I'd be changing the thermostat, which is possibly what I'm going to be doing based on what I've seen here. Again, that bottom bolt. Oh, by the way, guys, I've lost one of the bolts. It's gone down here and it's pressed against the bloody arch liner. So I'm going to have to either get the manet and get that out. It was stupid. So I'll put that there, stay there. That was covered in oil, but I've got a feeling that's the rocker cover gasket doing its thing. But this is the last bolt. And look at it. I was so worried that that bolt there at the bottom had literally snapped. I mean, it's so loose, I'm going to have to take my ratchet off and do it by hand. They're not tight. There's no way these are being done up to the correct torque, unless they've just loosened over time, which can happen with old cars. But I'm deeply suspicious. We're going to find out now by, I think, visual inspection how old this thermostat is, and if it is old, that compounds my my opinion to replace it. Grief. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, before we proceed, yeah, they're all out. Right, we have the thermostat. Right, just have a look in there. Wow, that's clean. You see that, guys? No gumminess. That is one clean cylinder head. Oh, this is a very good sign. Now, I've got a feeling, so I'll just put it between my legs, this thermostat is held with retaining springs. Yeah, so you see these retaining springs, you've got to push them in. You just got to push these retaining springs in, and it is an 8 degree thermostat. If I can see round here, I can't. Oh, Motorcraft. There you go. It is a genuine one. Right, I think for argument's sake, I will replace it because you don't know how good they are. I will test it in some hot water later, but I will keep it as a spare because you never know. But I will get that out at some stage. But that's all you need to do. Press the tangs in, and it will come out. Probably a bit of a faff. But it's secured nicely in that piece there. And what I'm going to do is, once I've found the other bolt, yeah, that's what I'm going to do is put that back in there, so I don't lose any of these bits and pieces. I'll just put them back in. But I will remind myself. Oh, for goodness sake, I've dropped that now. Well done, Andrew. I will remind myself that there's a bolt down there. I think I'm gonna have to fish that out now before I forget it's down there and lose it permanently. But please put bolts back in when you're doing this, okay? So you know where they go. Because the least bolts are in there, the less complicated it gets. But that is it. That is it. As far as I'm concerned, this heater hose is off. We can flush the heater matrix back that way. I mean, I'm looking down that hose and it looks quite clean actually. So we're going to go this way, we're going to go that way, we're going to go all sorts of ways. So I think that's the best bet. I mean, I could take all this apart down here. You've got like a trench piece that connects this piece of the hose to the piece that goes into the inlet manifold, but I don't think that's necessary. What it is called for now is to flush the engine, move all this and flush that. Now, for argument's sake, I could have kept the transmission pipes in to stop water, because I'm going to flush this out now, to stop water possibly getting in there, because you don't want water in the gearbox. That would be dreadful. The truth is, it'll be dried out perfectly, but I will probably bungs it with some tape or something. But just for argument's sake, I've just used a screwdriver like that, and it just broke the seam on the drain plug. And I will show you for argument's sake. It's got a little felt washer underneath it, and it can be removed. This is exactly the same as what is fitted to a Focus Mark 1 or any Ford of the 90s, just plastic. I'm just going to make sure that there isn't any. No, completely empty. So I'm going to put that back in because it will kind of stop stuff from coming back out. In fact, this is in better condition than the one I've got on my Mark 1 Focus. Oops, do you think I should do a swap? No, I'm not that cruel. Right, Now, obviously the radiator goes like this in the car, and the normal flow of water is this way. We're going to reverse it. Reverse back flushing they call it. I can just get it set up. That would help. There we go. All the blue stuff is coming out. And just keep doing this until it runs clean. Take a few minutes and that's it. That's pretty clean. We can stop. Yep, I've just given that a good old clean. I might even give that a bit of satin black because it looks really good, that radiator. And do you know what? There was not much debris whatsoever. Not for a 34-year-old car, so we know that the levels are being kept well and true. No, there's no any particular way of doing this apart from firing water everywhere because my water hose is consistently running. We're going to fire it into there. We're going to fire it into the hose down there. We're going to fire it into there. There's a few different places. Okay, straight into the water pump, and it's coming out. There we go. All the green stuff is coming straight out. Keep running it until all that stuff is gone. There we go. It's becoming clear already. Let's see, I'm going to bung that hole. Now, I've just set this camera up so you can see that bottom hose down there. Now, I'm just going to plug this. Now, because this is kind of tight, I have to hold it. Watch that hose down there. I'll try not get in the way. Oh, the green stuff. It was actually worse than that a second ago. Fire it into there. Right, rad clean. Everything has been taken back in the house to be cleaned. That is the sort of stuff I do off camera. So all the stuff you've seen will be cleaned, maybe painted in places, you know, that sort of thing, and just tested in general. The electric fan I might need to test just to make sure it works, but there is a way I can do that. But I'm just going to give all this a bit of a clean at the bottom here just to get rid of all this mess. I'm going to use some degreaser and just take advantage of the space I've got. But honestly, there's not much to actually look at now. We know that all the pipes are as clean as crystal. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to leave this episode here. It's going to drain, dry. The oil is going to continually leak out. Hopefully I didn't get a little bit of water into there. Rocker cover's coming off anyway at some point. That'll probably be the next job. Rocker cover, we'll take all this off and bits and pieces. And I'm just going to continue degreasing all of this really. So we're well on the way. This is well on the way now. And we are going to go at lightning speed, hopefully. You take care, guys. I will see you very soon. Hopefully, if you've got a Ford Fiesta Mark III, this might be useful. You probably think this is absolutely rubbish. Feel free to say that. But if you want to subscribe, please subscribe, because there's plenty of videos coming out of this. Absolutely. And I've already had a go at degreasing this gearbox case, and all this oil from the rocker cover has preserved it quite nicely, because at the back there it's quite dry and aluminium oxide-ish. But I'm going to have a bit of a clean. I'm going to think about what I'm going to do with that near the time that I actually take the gearbox pan off. But looking at the fluid, yeah, it needs a change. It definitely needs a change. So I'm going to leave this here. You take care, guys. I will see you very soon.